and you played for Torts, and I think this would be a nice lead into talking Flyers and Tortorella. But the benching of Hayes, Konechny in the third period the other night, and I just wanted to get your opinion on that as far as a Torts strategy, and if you think say sitting. You say your first line, arguably, I think what 20 points or so they have, leading scorers in the team right now, as like the proper move for a full 20 minutes in the third period, having been down just 1-0. But just wanted to bring that up and then evolve into the Flyers and Tortorella.
Yeah, I mean, I think that move, and again, I was kind of picking Hartsy's brain about it because he worked that game to see maybe with all the games going on. I did not watch that entirety of that game, right? So I don't know what happened prior to that with those guys getting benched, but I do know from having Torts as a coach, and Hartsy and I were talking about it, and he saw this as well playing for Torts. And I had other coaches that Pat Burns was like the king of things like this, and the mind. I don't want to say mind games because that sounds like it's being like coaches being manipulative, and I don't think that's what it is. It's just kind of keeping everybody focused. And Torts uses this phrase all the time. Because I started saying it last night, and Hartsy finished my sentence. Torts says, "Don't let it get good to you." He says that a million times. I'm sure you guys have probably heard it already, or maybe inside the room, the guys have heard, "Don't let it get good to you." And so this is a team that has surprised a lot. I mean, I love what's going on in Philly. Torts is going in there and he's establishing what he's brought in there to establish. I don't know how that's going to translate in wins and losses as a whole all season, but this team's going to be playing a certain way, and it's a way that I think that city and that organization expects their teams to play, and they're getting success with that right now. I think that this is a move like, hey, you're not getting equity with me and going to just freelance now. Like, don't let it get good to you. I will let everybody know right away. All right, our two big boys, Hazy, Konechny, you guys sit down. You know what I mean? And that tells every player on that team, young, old, fourth liner, first liner, 60, first D-man. If it can happen to them, it can happen to me, right? So Pat Burns was the king of this, and I alluded to it yesterday on air too. It's like the full story, though. I remember we were practicing in New Jersey. We were on like a 6-7, I don't know, a good win streak. And Burnsy calls, guys in practice were warming up and hooting and hollering, snapping the puck around, loosey-goosey. Burnsy blows the whistle, calls everybody in, and he starts just laying it. You guys think I'm an idiot? You don't think I know what's fucking going on here? You guys don't think I have eyes and ears in this town? And all of us are just looking around like, what is he talking about? It's like a Tuesday. It was like a Tuesday night the night before, and he's alluding to everybody going out and just going on a bender last night. And so he just like, that's bullshit. Don't play me for a fool. Get on the goal line, start skating us. And then afterwards, guys are gassed. And we're like, and Burnsy gets off the ice. And we're like, who went out last night? And we literally were pretty secure that nobody went anywhere. He wanted just to bring everybody back down to earth. So you can keep, if the team starts getting here, that's where we start getting some bad habits, right? And I don't know. I don't know, but I've seen this story before, and I think maybe Torts is going for that. Maybe there's a couple things that he didn't love about their play, but he's like, hey, this is a time where I can make an example and get this team playing the way I want them to play, and that's just to keep everybody accountable. And I think that does a lot. That does a lot for me as a guy that played fourth line when Torts would sit Marian Gaborik for not blocking a shot. I'm like, okay, now I understand when he sits me too. Like, now it's makes sense now. He doesn't hold people to a different standard.
Yeah. No, 100%, and I fully agree with what he was doing. I've seen it before, and coaches like to put their fingerprint on it and send a message. I guess I was talking with Nasty before. I'm like, geez, it's a 1-0 game. Can you still send that same message by having them sit for 3 or 4 shifts and then maybe sparking them and then getting them out there, because again they are on fire. I mean they're scoring, they're generating energy and momentum. Maybe they had a couple periods that weren't so productive, but I'm just thinking, maybe is there a way you could maybe salvage that game and get them out there and still send that same message? But it's Torts, and he still does have that old school way of doing things, right? That is a really old school way of doing things. But early in the season, I was going back with Nasty, like, fuck, I'm like, I feel like, you know, maybe 2 or 3 shifts. Yeah.
Attainable. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
So, I mean, you got an argument there, but I don't know. I just always envisioned Torts being like almost like the little cartoon where you got like the angel and the devil on the shoulder. Yeah. And you got the angel that's like, hey John, like the game, we're still in this, and the devil's like, no, fuck this, get their attention, you know? And Torts is going to resort to that because he wants, you know, and I don't know, I just feel like there's this because he is very understandable, he's approachable, he's a lot of things, but like when he wants to get your attention, he's going to get it. So I don't know, I agree with you. You got an argument there because they're still in that game and you can come back and win.
Yeah, you know, it goes back to the ego. Is this like an ego, you know, Rob, or is this really the most effective tool in this moment, in this time and place, you know, to help this team win a hockey game? But we're not going to get the answer. We're not going to figure this thing out. But
I've worked with Torts 3 times with USA Hockey, so I mean, I've seen. I know, and it was funny. I think you said yesterday, Rupper, you're like, sometimes it's almost like they do this just to fucking do it. Like you said, Burns skated you guys just to kind of do it. And like, but like Rouse said, I thought it was a good argument also. Like, man, you got a whole period here. Like they could score 3 themselves. I mean,
100%.
They could, but they can't sitting over where you were sitting with the
I know, right?
Here's the I guess if we're going to argue the other side of it, it's like, maybe in his mind, I don't know, maybe he doesn't even think about it this deeply, but like we are saying those things, and yes, those are true. The game is still on, it's still right there for you to take. And you're taking your best 2 players, best 2 forwards, and you're sitting them. But maybe that's the way to show the rest of the team, I don't give a shit. Like if you're not going to do what I'm asking you to do, if you're not going to execute the level I want you to execute, because if it was like, well, we're gonna give them a few shifts, and they come back and win that game. Did they really? Is that same message put across to the rest of the team? You know, like this is like, you know, it's almost like in youth hockey where you see coaches, you know, maybe the top end kid is not doing the right things, and you sit them down. Well, in youth hockey, they only sat them down and maybe a shift because you want one rotation, right? You want to get back out there. So I think this kind of gets the attention. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll never
for
get
sure. You're right.
No, you're right.
You're right.
This is the stuff that Torts does, and he is the king of managing your emotion as a team and bringing you up and down. Some people can't deal with it. Some people can, and I personally liked it. I like that old school way of doing it, and I think it's going to serve well in Philly.
Yeah, I agree. It's a long-term message, right? To your point, it's not the immediate moment winning this game. It's for you know, the rest of the season and really laying down that foundation, that groundwork. Yeah, so I fully understand. And I mean, you mentioned you like what you're seeing. Obviously, he's created an identity and a culture for the team, and the city is, you know, rallying behind it.